In order to figure out which of my favorite booktubers I can take recommendations from, I've asked two of them to go head to head in a fantasy face-off, a booktuber battle. I've asked libraryofaviking and dominishbooks to each give me a book off of their best of the year list. Dom gave me Talonsister and Johan gave me Aiduel Sin, and we're gonna see which one I like better, which means which booktuber can I take recommendations from. You're gonna have to watch to find out the results. I have started Talonsister. I do think that this could be a close battle just because I have read and loved previously from both of these authors. For Jen Williams, I have read the Winnowing Flame trilogy. Ninth Reign was a 5-star read for me last year. Maybe not last year, 2 years ago. 2 years ago. Really, really loved this series for its unique world building. I have never read another story this interesting. Like, there's such a different tone to this book that I've never read somewhere else. It's very much a fantasy, a sci-fi, and a horror all rolled into one. I think there's some really, really unique and interesting ideas in this story that I loved and adored. And it has some of my favorite animal companions as the series goes on. Like, literally, probably my all-time favorites. Like, the Bitter Twins, the second book in the series. They are just so incredible. Which makes me really excited for Talonsister because there's griffins in Talonsister. So I think it's going to be a really cool portrayal of animal companions again. So I'm about 100 pages into Talonsister, so my first initial reactions were the first 30 pages were a little bit harder to get into, but I would probably say the same about the Ninth Reign. The writing style was definitely a little bit more slow, a little more dense. There's a lot of information being thrown at you. There is also one POV in here that I kind of dislike. It does a lot of info dumping in the terms of like telling a character who already knows these things how the world and the magic works. It's really clear. Like, the character literally says, I already know this, why are you telling me this? And the guy's just like, oh, you need a refresher. And it's very clear it's being done for the audience. He is my least favorite POV. I think that there's 4 POVs that I've gotten already in the first 100 pages, and the other 3 I'm really, really enjoying. There are griffins that are really exciting, and I'm intrigued by the magic and the lore already. Again, I feel like it's such an interesting setup, an interesting system. There's ideas that I haven't seen done like this before. And I'm just overall really intrigued to see what exactly is happening. I feel kind of similar to how I felt with the Ninth Reign, I think, where it's slow starting, but I'm really invested into what grander aspect could be. I don't have a summary yet for you, so let me do that in the next clip. It is a RealmAthon announcement day, so I'm a little stressed. I don't know how much reading I'm gonna get done. I'm gonna read pretty much until the announcement goes up, and then I'm probably gonna be living in the chaos of what's to come, and I'm so excited for it. I need to pack bookmarks. I already have orders because my Patreons got, like, my 2 top tiers got early access to the Etsy store. So they have been buying bookmarks and it feels so incredible. I'm so happy that everyone seems to be liking it so far. Let's hope the announcement goes smoothly. I'm really worried that I missed something big this year. I have not made any progress yet in Talonsister. I'm so sorry. I wish I had a better update for you guys. Yesterday was quite possibly the most stressful day of my life, though. I don't think I've ever felt such stress. I like to think of myself as a no stress kind of person. I'm pretty just take it as it goes, but I think I had a mental breakdown yesterday. It's just one thing after the other, which led to literally no reading when I wanted to read. The RealmAthon announcement went live at 10, so I watched that, and during the last 30 seconds, my internet decided to give out. It just decided to stop working, so I was already freaking out because I missed the last 30 seconds, and then for the next 2 hours, it would come back for like 3 minutes and then cut out again, and then I would have to refresh everything and I'd get a little bit done, and it was so stressful. You guys sold me out of bookmarks, which is absolutely incredible and amazing. I'm making another order. I'm putting that in literally today, so within the next like 10 days, I should have more bookmarks in my hand and I will be putting them on sale again for you guys. I can't believe you sold me out, but I noticed that the sets were flying and the individuals weren't, and I only had so many sets up, so I had to go back onto the like Etsy back end and subtract from the individuals to put more sets up for you guys, because I noticed that everyone was wanting the sets, and if you wanted the sets, I wanted you to be able to get the sets. But doing that while my internet was cutting out was just so stressful. And then on top of that, my boyfriend and me have been kind of looking at houses for the last like year. We're just kind of browsing them. He does want to buy a house. He's buying a house. I'm just living in it. Yesterday, there was a house that was in the location that we want, and like, so we're struggling because he wants to live on the West End because it's close to work, but I really want to live on the South Side because it's close to my family and my friends. Decided like our perfect location is like Southwest because that kind of meets in the middle, but in our price range there's like nothing for sale in that location. This house came up, but our realtor can only go at 10 and I could go at 10, and Nick's out of town currently. He's ice fishing. So his parents went and looked at the house. There was an open house later on in the day, and so the realtor was like, we have to put an offer on it if you want it. And so we were trying to decide whether we were buying a house without ever looking at it. And then I was just like, wait, like do we need to be offering before the open house? We decided we didn't need to, so I went and looked during the open house, and I struggled because I didn't love the house, but I love the location so much. So it was just really stressful of like me trying to decide whether we should put an offer down on this house, and I really wanted Nick to see it because I had little concerns with it, and I was like, I would love to know if your concerns like match my concerns and things like that, and it was just so freaking stressful. We decided not to put an offer down. Literally felt so MIA, I felt so out of it. I think it was a very successful RealmAthon 3.0 announcement. If you don't know, I run a readathon called RealmAthon. It's happening all March long this year, and I will link the announcement video down below for you guys to go check out.
Nominated tonight for Song of the Year. Give it up for Dua Lipa.
Good morning. We have another very sleepy, tired Cassidy today, and not a lot of reading was done, but I have read a little bit more. I've probably read about another 100 pages, so I feel like I can tell you what the synopsis of this book is about. I'm not done packing bookmarks yet. This is the first batch that I have packed. However, I'm spending today reading instead of packing bookmarks because my bag is killing me. Why do we have to get old? Why do we have to suffer through back pain as we get older? I think it's really rude of the world to punish us for our maturity. But also, if I learned how to sit properly and not have my legs crossed and my back hunched over and I sat with proper posture all the time, maybe my back wouldn't hurt as much as it does. So like, have I really matured that much? I don't know. I did get to page 216, and I do not know where my thoughts sit on this book at all. I am liking it, but I'm not loving it. But also, if I look back on when I read the Ninth Reign book, I feel like that was a book that I finished and was like, I think I'll give this 5 stars. But it wasn't like a book I loved while like reading. Like, it wasn't a book that instantly I was like, oh my god, I'm obsessed with, I need to keep turning the pages. I think this is gonna be the same style when I like look at it as a whole. I'm gonna love it. This story is really hard to tell you a synopsis for. We're following 3 POVs according to the Goodreads synopsis, which I think is interesting because we're actually following 4. So I'm surprised they don't tell you about one of them. I think our main storyline though is that we're following Levin, who was a soldier called a herald for the army that literally went and conquered all the other nations by like brute force. They're essentially given magic of these titans by using their ore on their body to like paint tattoos. The thing is, Levin cannot remember anything from before she was a soldier, but she hasn't been a soldier her whole life. So why can't she remember her life before? And now that she's retired, she's trying to like kind of figure out that mystery, and I think that's really, really interesting. The other POV I'm really liking is our Griffin POV. We're following a human who was raised by griffins but never really welcomed by the griffins because they think of human as food, but just like something happened that made her kind of stick with them not eat her. And I really liked that POV, mostly because I love learning about like the Griffin society and how they work and things that are happening in that part. But then we have 2 other POVs, and one of them I'm really interested in seeing how it like wraps up as a whole, like where all of these lines are going to interconnect. Considering it's only a duology according to Goodreads, I'm expecting things to kind of make sense at the end of this book a little bit, and I'm excited for that because I'm definitely intrigued. Jen Williams writes very slow in my opinion, but her words feel thoughtful and smart, and they feel very intriguing. Like, I'm always interested in what's to come. My biggest struggle is one of the POVs I don't care about as much as the other ones. So whenever we flip to it, I'm like, ooh, could I just like go check out what's happening on Discord or Instagram or TikTok? Also, because Taylor Swift announced a thing last night, a brand new album at the Grammys last night, I've definitely been trying to be on social media to see like everyone's reactions to that, because like what in the world? Like she just accepted a Grammy and was like, oh, by the way, my new album's releasing on this date. Like, what? Taylor Swift is God. Like Taylor Swift can do anything she wants. Who just releases an album at the Grammys? And I literally love it. She's iconic. She's incredible. But I need to focus on reading. I will say I always enjoy how much depth Jen Williams' worlds have. Both times I've read, I felt like her world felt like big. Like it felt huge. It felt like there was always some new place I could go and explore, which is kind of how our world feels, which I think is really interesting, and places with very different cultures and beliefs and places with similar cultures and beliefs. It feels like a very expansive society, an expansive world to be a part of, and things really make sense to why people behave certain ways based on where they are in the world. While we have a break here, because I'm not far enough to really talk to you about the book, let's talk about Dom. Let me just put this down here. Dom is the one who recommended Talonsister, and he's also the reigning champ. Last year he won BookTube Bestie, which was Booktuber Battle last year. He gave me Along the Razor's Edge last year, which became one of my all-time favorite series, so thanks, Dom. If that doesn't tell you Dom has good taste, I don't know what else will, because that series is impeccable. But I will say, like, my favorite part about Dom's channel is his passion for indie. He is one of my go-to channels to learn anything about an indie book, to learn about new indie books, to learn about indie authors, and then just to have, like, well thought out thoughts on indie stories. He's constantly reviewing them. He's got a 10-point scale that I really, really like on how he reviews and weighs his like score rating. He's just very, very passionate for the indie community, which is something I feel like I also am, and I really love that he's like a lighthouse for them. I really truly think that if you are in any way interested in indie, which you should be because some of my favorite books are indie, you should follow his channel, because he will not let you down with those indie recommendations at all. Anyways, I'm gonna get back to reading so that I can give you a book update. I've made it to chapter 44, which is roughly 339 pages in, and to be honest, I'm feeling a little bored. I just feel like nothing has happened in this story at all, so I am just disengaging in it. I really need the pacing to like pick up a little bit. I still have about 200 pages left. I'm giving this one 3 stars. There's a lot I really liked about this book, so it's kind of a complicated 3 stars, but I truly think the biggest issue for me was the pacing. It could have been 100 pages shorter. I just lulled at one point and was like, nothing has happened in this book. But when I got to the end, I appreciated the entire story, which I felt very similar in The Ninth Reign, but I liked this one a lot more than I liked this one. I do think we have such a unique world, and I love Jen Williams' books for that. I think she writes these really sprawling worlds that have the most interesting magic in a science way, which I really like the use of science in magic systems. Other than the pacing, I think my biggest issue could be characters. I wanted to feel a little bit more for characters. I want a little bit more depth to them. It almost felt a little surface level at times. Oh, and the romance was so forced. I don't know why there was romance in this book. It didn't need to happen at all. But like, I don't know, I feel like I sound like I didn't like this book, but I really liked my time with it at the same time. Like, I loved the griffins, I loved the magic system, and I really, 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 really liked the ending. Like, the last 50 pages or so, when everything's connecting, you're just like, wow, like, what? This is so intricate. Really excited to see where it goes in the last book, because I do believe it's only a duology, which has me excited because I'm excited to see how it ends. I'm really excited to see where it goes. Yeah, I don't know. I just have really mixed feelings on this one. I think I'm gonna feel similar to this as I do to the Wind Flame trilogy. I had nitpicks for this trilogy when I read them, but since then I've only really remembered the strengths of it, and the nitpicks haven't bothered me as much, and I think I'm gonna feel the same way about Talonsister, where like I'm going to remember the uniqueness of this book more than anything else. So yeah, we're giving it a 3 star. It means I enjoyed the book. I honestly don't know which one's gonna win at this point, but we're gonna move on to Aiduel Sin, and I'm hoping that we get a 4 star or a 5 star out of that one. That is a big box of RealmAthon bookmarks that are about to go out. I'm just about to go pick up some library books. I am trying to be a lot better with my money this year. I'm trying to use my library. We have a good library system. It's just hard because I get trigger happy and want to buy books. Like, I just need the endorphins that buying things get me, but I'm hoping that I can train myself to be a library person. So I am picking out a couple books from the library today, but I have started Aiduel's Sin. Now, I was kind of worried about this one. I was worried that my reading taste had changed a lot since I originally read Illborn. I was worried that I was probably nice to it because it was reviewed really early on in my channel, and you tend to start your channel and be a little bit nicer to books, I find, just because you're worried. But honestly, the writing is just so strong. Very, very well done, and that is the one thing I loved about Illborn, was how clean the writing felt. I'm only 2 chapters in, so I'm really not far in, but I just wanted to say that, like, my first impression of the sequel is really good. Anyways, the library opens at 10. It is 9:46, so I'm just gonna kill time. I'm probably gonna read. Okay, I've made it about 25% into Aiduel's Sin, and I don't know how to feel about this one. I'm really struggling with 2 POVs. It's the same POVs I struggled with in Illborn, but in this one they're back to back, and that's about 50 pages of boring POVs every 50 pages because the chapters are so long. I'm also finding it very repetitive in its nature, and I don't know, it's kind of bothering me, so I'm like not loving this. I'm not hating it either. I do like the 2 POVs that I like. So like, I don't know how I'm feeling about it. But it is Super Bowl Sunday, so I am gonna go watch the Super Bowl. I mean, it's the Swift Bowl essentially this year, so I have to watch it. I am cheering for a team even though I don't watch football because I gotta cheer for Travis Kelce, you know. But other than that, that's all my plans are for the day. Let's go! The Chiefs won the Super Bowl! It was a good game, and both those teams would have deserved a win, and I'm happy I got to see the Chiefs win though. And the start of their dynasty. Maybe I will be a football fan from now on. As long as Taylor keeps dating him, I will be at least. But now it's bedtime, so I'm gonna go do that. I have an update for Aiduel's Sin, but before we talk about that, let's discuss Johan from libraryofaviking. Me and Johan kind of started our channels around the same time, so we definitely talked a little bit at the beginning, and I really look up to him and his content creation skills and his video editing processes. I think that he is constantly pulling out some really fun ideas. He definitely has a very different style of YouTube than I do, but I love the way he does his style. He's definitely not these like slow vlogs, but more like lists and news and one book reviews and things like that. But I think that he is really quite great and incredible at what he does. His video production is personally one of my favorites, same with his editing. I truly love his channel, and I also love the way that he connects the authors to the booktube space. He does a lot of like going to conventions and interviewing authors and things like that. That's something I really, really like from his channel. And I definitely would recommend checking out libraryofaviking if you haven't already, because I think that you will get some really fun content that you've probably been looking for from him. Now on to Aiduel's Sin. I'm DNFing it. I'm so sorry. Honestly, I was watching the Super Bowl yesterday and I just realized I cared more about the Super Bowl than this book, and that is a shocking twist. Even though I was in it for Taylor's boyfriend, I'm not necessarily normally the one that's like paying attention to every play. I'm normally reading while watching the Super Bowl, and then I like look up for important things or commercials and halftime, but like the real like whole game I'm never watching, and I just didn't want to read my book, so I was watching the whole game. For me, I really think the downfall of this was how repetitive it was. We would watch something happen to a character in one POV, we'd experience it with that character, then we get to the next POV and we'd be retold exactly what happened so that this character could learn what would happen. And I understand that this character needed to know something, but that could have happened off paper for me. I could have understood that they have seen this thing happen without being like explicitly told, because it just made the story less engaging to me, because I was like, well, I'm just relearning things I've already learned, and we do it like 4 times because there's 4 POVs that are all somewhat interconnected. It was just very repetitive. Their dreams are repetitive. It honestly felt very repetitive even of book 1 to me, and I realized I just didn't really care where this story was going. And on top of that, there was a female character who kind of gives me the ick in this. I just don't love the way the females are presented in this, specifically one of them, and I didn't love her in the first book either, and I thought her character would grow quite a bit in this book, and she might, because I'm DNFing it 30% in. But from what I read, it was the same old insecure, always need a man, everything revolved around love and men and things like that, and I just didn't love it. I really, really didn't love it. So I'm making the decision to DNF it, and I think that is the best decision for myself, which means the winner of this booktuber battle is dominishbooks and Talonsister. Dom is the reigning champ of last year. He's winning this year. Someone's gonna need to take him down next year. who's it gonna be? So thank you to both Dom and Johan for being a part of this. I love both their channels and I think you should too. So you should go subscribe to them. Their channels will be linked in the description bar below. And if you're looking for more vlogs from me, the last episode of Booktuber Battle where I read The Book That Wouldn't Burn and Silver Under Nightfall is right here for you to watch. And if you made it all the way to the end of this video and you'd like to leave emoji just to say you were here, leave me some sort of flying animal. And have yourselves a remarkable day.